Well, welcome back to Morning Break. Across the country, more than 61 million acres of land have been conserved in different land trusts. These land trusts preserve land, also cultural heritage. And South Carolina's Land Trust Days are this week to celebrate some of these special places in the Palmetto State.
That's right. Our very own Kyle Jordan is live in Beaufort County this morning, highlighting a property few get a chance to see, and you can visit too if you act fast. What are these details, Kyle?
Yeah, we're talking about a pretty exclusive tour that is not offered all the time, and we are lucky enough to be on the property at Auldbrass Plantation. I mentioned it just a moment ago. We're just outside of downtown Yemassee, if you will, right on the Hampton-Beaufort County line, at a plantation that has a lot of history, but as I mentioned, most of this really focused on something that happened here in the 1930s. The name Frank Lloyd Wright is going to be very familiar to people, whether you know exactly who Frank Lloyd Wright is or not, but he's the architect of the home that is right here behind me, which is the centerpiece of Auldbrass Plantation. And as you mentioned, the opportunity to come out and tour it, to support the Open Land Trust here in Beaufort County. And we mentioned South Carolina Land Trust Days happening right now. We'll get to that in just a minute, but I want to bring in Ashley Rhodes, who is with the Open Land Trust, the director of events, a big event coming up in November. You got 3 days where people have the opportunity to come out, and this is, you have a large number of tickets, only a few left, but it is an exclusive opportunity to come see this because it's not open all the time.
That's correct. Yeah, so Auldbrass is privately owned, and it only opens every odd year. So here we are in 2023. We have tours 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, November 2nd through the 4th. We see 500 people a day, and we have about 300 tickets left. So
you've already sold a good chunk of those. You do afternoon and evening tours, or morning and afternoon tours, but people can come out here and spend the entire day. The tour times are limited to what you get to do inside the house.
That's exactly right. So unlike many of Frank Lloyd Wright's properties, this is a sprawling campus. So your morning or afternoon ticket allows you a trip into the main house, but you have the entire day to tour the entire property, which is pretty large.
I was going to say, we've got cottages that we've seen off in the distance. I think there's some stables around here too. A lot of stuff going on. Let's talk about the history of this place that we're standing in, because I mentioned it 85 years ago, roughly. This house was designed and built. Frank Lloyd Wright. It was commissioned. Kind of take us back through that process of how we ended up where we are today.
Sure. So in the late 1930s, a man by the name of Charles Lee Stevens came to this area from Michigan to take over the Savannah River Lumber Company. And being from Michigan, he was a lover of Frank Lloyd Wright and actually had Frank Lloyd Wright come to the property one time. Being an organic architect, he was inspired by the live oak trees and just the expansive land, and he drew this campus. The property, after Stevens' death, was abandoned for quite some time, but in 1986, movie producer Joel Silver acquired the property after Savannaian Donna Butler, who was a Frank Lloyd Wright real estate appraiser, turned him onto the property.
And some of the video we have that's some aerial shots of this property and kind of around the main house. From a story several years ago, CBS Sunday Mornings was on the property with Joel Silver, kind of highlighting that. He talked about how important it was to him, knowing Frank Lloyd Wright, knowing the history of this, to be able to come in and restore it and kind of bring it to the glory that was expected back in the 1930s and 40s.
Absolutely. No, we have all the thanks to give to Joel for restoring this wonderful national treasure for all of us. And much like Charles Lee Stevens, who built this for leisure, Joel enjoys it the same way.
And yet he opens it up for tours to benefit the Open Land Trust. And we mentioned South Carolina Land Trust Days. We're in the middle of that.
Yes.
Just briefly, what's that all about? The Land Trust, explain that to folks who aren't familiar.
Sure. So another part of this land is that a large portion of it is under a conservation easement. And so in keeping with that, as a gift to the community, it is opened up to the Open Land Trust as a fundraiser. And all funds go directly to the Open Land Trust to support the work that we do. And
real quickly, let's go back through the tickets for the tour. The tours are November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It's
Correct.
a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You had a special evening on Saturday. I don't even know if we should tell people. We make them feel bad because it's sold out.
That's right.
But for folks who are coming here, what do they need to know? What, you know, if they're coming for the morning or coming for the afternoon?
Sure. Walking shoes, definitely wear your walking shoes, and really just come and be ready to enjoy this property. It is vast, so you will be walking around a lot, but really that's about it.
Yeah, 300 acres. So yeah, really get your walking shoes. There's really cool statues. We're only going to be able to show you so much. I'm glad we had some of the video too, but I will let you know this. We're going to go inside. Yes, we are going to get a peek inside the house, which is really cool and something that if you're taking the tour, you'll get the opportunity to check out as well. Again, the tours are in November, but you got to act fast. As she mentioned, only about 300 tickets that are still available to get inside and see the house here at Auldbrass Plantation. For now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.